If someone from 1,000 years ago time traveled to 2022, how would they react to the newer technology? We have undergone changes since our species first evolved. Some changes are universal, while others are more regional in effect. Technology remains one of the most impactful processes developed by man. So impactful that it has changed the rules of the game. Every other species on Earth adapts to its environment, but man is now different because he has learned to adapt his environment to himself. 1,000 years ago, you only communicated face to face or via messages that took anywhere from days to months to arrive. Horses were the fastest way to travel, and illnesses were often deadly. Now you have a device that allows instant communication worldwide in full video if you want. These devices answer questions and have maps to every road in the world. Plus, they allow you to play games and allow you to shop. Roads aren't worn paths of cobblestone anymore. They are huge, smooth, and strong enough to withstand sledgehammers. Drugs are available in every store to cure things that could kill a person 1,000 years ago. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Our visitor from the past probably couldn't imagine a highway full of cars or skyscrapers, helicopters, airplanes, or even something that we all take for granted, as simple as a mobile phone. Technological advancement would literally feel like witchcraft to our guest, as the Earth would look unrecognizable. He may be totally amazed. He may immediately want to know how everything works. He may take it in his stride, or he may get so freaked out that he would kill himself. Whatever the outcome, the lesson is that stagnation can lead to retrogression. Humanity is designed to strive harder, to reach further, and to continue unraveling the mystery of life through research and development. In fact, research and development is essentially what has decided which nations end up rich and powerful and which ones become poor and dependent. Realizing this, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund continues to make huge investments, both in cash and kind, towards operating a triple helix model for Nigeria's technological and economic advancement. To keep doing the same things and expect someone else to fix the problems we face later would be a risky and expensive gamble. For 10 years, TETFund has intervened in the tertiary education sector of the country. These are the chronicles of the journey to institutionalize research and development in Nigeria. Hello, and welcome to this edition of TETFund, The Paradigm Shift. I am Stanley Bentu. TETFund ended the year 2021 on a very high note with a celebration of 10 years of intervention in public tertiary education in Nigeria, an initiative that has completely transformed the landscape in all of these institutions. Beyond that, the agency now prioritized research and development. And why is that? Well, Nigeria has been independent for nearly 62 years now. After a promising start, the nation plunged into a civil war that lasted 3 years and cost millions of lives. Despite the fact that it bounced back stronger, aided by the oil trade, it sunk to economic turmoil from the early 1980s and has been struggling ever since. Facing economic hardship for close to 40 years is a serious matter. And that is a problem that has confronted and dumbfounded successful administrations in the past. Something needed to be done differently. Enter the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, who gave full support to the Executive Secretary of TETFund to implement a paradigm shift which, when done right, would provide a permanent solution to Nigeria's economic challenges. Professor Bogoro proposes that research and development can break the nation free from this vicious circle. Professor Bogoro made a detailed presentation of key achievements of TETFund over the past 10 years at the 10th anniversary of the fund. This edition of the program spotlights the Executive Secretary's presentation. Well, this all seems fine and good, but how has TETFund fared over the past 10 years? Since the intervention agency was refocused to intervene in public universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, has it made the difference that it was unable to when it was overburdened with all levels of education in the country? Let's find out by listening to Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro's presentation in detail.
It is with great pleasure and gratitude that I welcome you all to this auspicious occasion of TETFund's 10-year anniversary celebration. It is recalled that the TETFund, formerly ETF, was originally set up as an agency to intervene in the education sector by the Education Tax Act Letter Trust Fund of 1993 and amended Trust Fund in 1998. The Act was repealed and replaced with that of TETFund Act of 2011, which refocused the fund towards the development and rehabilitation of infrastructure alongside research and development in public tertiary institutions, specifically as the law stipulates, the universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, that is both federal and state. Funded through the 2% education tax introduced by government on accessible profit of all registered companies in Nigeria. By the TETFund Act, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is authorized to collect the 2% education tax and remit annually to TETFund for allocation and onward disbursement to the beneficiary institutions in the country. The mandate of the fund, as contained in the Funds Enabling Act, is to administer and disburse the 2% education tax to federal and state beneficiary institutions for the provision of essential physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, instructional materials and equipment, research and publication, academic staff training and development, any other needs which, in the opinion of the Board of Trustees, is critical and essential for the improvement of quality and maintenance of standard in the higher educational institutions of our country. The Chairman, Honorable Minister of Education, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our collective efforts over the past 10 years have not been in vain. TETFund, since inception, has recorded tremendous achievements in transforming the landscape of public tertiary education in Nigeria from the education tax collection remitted to the fund. Significantly, based on annual allocation to beneficiary institutions over the past 10 years, TETFund has succeeded significantly in its mandate through provision of intervention support across the various intervention lines. The intervention lines include, for those of you that interacted with TETFund, you will confirm these specific intervention lines. 1, physical infrastructure and project upgrades. 2, TETFund scholarship for academic staff. 3, library development. 4, ICT support. 5, professional and academic research journals. 6, academic manuscript development, of course, to textbooks. 7, conference attendance. 8, teaching practice. Okay, 10, I'm sorry, I just mixed up the number. Institution-based research. That is a research grant we grant with a ceiling of 2 million, but is managed at the level of the beneficiary institutions. Then the bigger one, the National Research Fund, acronym as NRF, and the recently approved mega research grants. into relevant clusters that we started just a few weeks ago. 12, entrepreneurship. 13, equipment fabrication. Entrepreneurship for both universities and polytechnics. Equipment fabrication for polytechnics virtually exclusive. 14, TETFund project maintenance. We decided to set aside some money annually for maintenance of our projects after completion. But we believe that the institutions should apply their IGR to ensure that it's more effective. Advocacy and publicity. The fund also provides other forms of special intervention, such as high-impact intervention based on approval of the Board of Trustees. 2, centers of excellence. 3, zonal interventions. 4, disaster recovery. To execute its programs along the various intervention lines, the fund has, over the last 10 years, created departments and units as deemed necessary to discharge its functions. The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, TETFund has, over the past decade, provided massive support to our beneficiary institutions in Nigeria in the area of construction of physical infrastructure, fiscal projects rather. It is estimated that a total of 152,838 infrastructure projects have been carried out across these institutions. These projects include lecture theaters, classrooms, hostels, offices, road networks, laboratories, and fencing in some institutions as the need arose in different parts of the country. In a conscious effort to support the capacity of lecturers in public tertiary educational institutions, the fund increased the academic staff training and development program. To date, the fund has sponsored close to 30,000 lecturers for master's and PhD programs in both local and foreign institutions. And I can tell you, it is because of that, and with deliberate emphasis for PhDs, which is a minimum requirement for a lecturer in the Nigerian universities, that before 2015, only 40% of lecturers in Nigerian universities had PhD. With TETFund intervention, that percentage moved to 60% in 2015. And I can tell you proudly so, that at the moment, the percentage across our universities for PhD holders is between 75% to 100%. For some of the universities, like the University of Ibadan, that is a research university. And of course, most of the first generation universities. And I can tell you also, I still remember October last year, when the University of Ibadan hit the first 500 by ranking in the world. The Vice Chancellor said, we are celebrating that good news that came this week. And I'm happy, ES of TETFund, to tell you, this has significantly been achieved because of TETFund support. A breakdown of the sponsorship indicates as follows. The tables are there, and I'm sorry I won't bore you with the micro details, but they are there on your screen anyway. Still, in a bid to boost human capacity in our institutions, the fund has sponsored over 68,000 academic and non-academic staff of public tertiary institutions to attend local and overseas conferences as indicated in the table below. The table is there. TETFund has also been providing support for teaching practice in federal and state colleges of education across the country. So far, the fund has supported over 71,000 lecturers under its teachers' supervision program. Considering the vital role that libraries play in educational institutions, TETFund has also allocated substantial funds to public, federal, and state tertiary institutions for the acquisition of library books, e-library resources, and academic manuscript development to books in order to promote and support research, teaching, and learning. So far, the fund has procured over 2 million books for use in our libraries, 152,844 e-resources, and 380,778 equipment and furniture distributed across public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. I am pleased to inform you that upon recommendation of the Honorable Minister of Education, Mala Adamu, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR has approved that TETFund completes the National Library, which symbolizes institutional repository of knowledge and research globally. In 2011, the fund launched the National Research Fund, NRF, with a seed fund of $3 billion at its takeoff grant to support cutting-edge research in areas of critical national need and development. And in 2015, $1 billion was added. Following the approval of TETFund Board of Trustees in 2019, the NRF allocation became annual instead of seed money lasting for years. In other words, it was obvious that from 2019, it was going to be more impactful. And $5 billion was approved for that year alone, 2019. That was unprecedented. In 2020, President Buhari approved additional 50% increase in allocation to the NRF. In other words, it went up to $7.5 billion for that year, and this year, 2021, it was approved to $8.5 billion. So far, a total sum of $9 billion has been accessed by lecturers to finance their research activities. A total of 457 research projects have been approved across the country. Some have been completed while some are still ongoing. Apart from the above intervention mentioned, the fund also allocates funds on an annual basis to support academic research journals and institution-based research for research projects that are not more than $2 million per project, per grant, across public tertiary institutions. So far, about 2,175 projects have been approved for institution-based research and 342 for academic research journal projects that were undertaken between 2011 and 2021, 10 years running across. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that TETFund has been playing a significant role in COVID-19 research in the country upon the directive of Mr. President through the Honorable Minister of Education, and drug development in general in partnership with research institutes in the country. Let me say this, that the number of molecular laboratories in our teaching hospital and colleges of medicine in Nigeria, colleges of health sciences as otherwise called, in other universities, a significant number were provided by TETFund. At the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria in 2020, the fund, in collaboration with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, formed the National COVID-19 Research Consortium with the Secretariat located in TETFund office as I'm speaking today. May I use this opportunity to thank the chairman of BOT, Alhaji Kashim Ibrahim Imam, for approving the 4 mega research clusters with funds ranging from $250 million to $450 million in response to COVID-19 vaccines and drug research. And I can tell you that we have funded a COVID-19 candidate vaccine research program that has kicked off already. In response to COVID-19 vaccine and drug research, well, I said, not just COVID-19, but security and defense. One of the entities we are supporting is DICON. And the message is very clear to all of us. In the context of research that we're doing, if our research does not address all issues based on national need, then the researchers have failed the country, and we cannot afford to have that happen at our own time. We know what happened. The whole world was shocked with COVID-19, and it was only appropriate that those that needed to make a difference rose to the occasion. And that is how TETFund was obliged and directed, and we are happy to share what we've been able to do over the years in respect of the COVID-19 intervention. In 2014, I decided to take research to the next level by recommending to the Board of Trustees to approve the establishment of Department of Research and Development and Centers of Excellence in TETFund, which they graciously approved. And the former chairman of the board is right here. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate him. Furthermore, we have introduced 2 new intervention lines within the period: project maintenance and ICT support interventions. I had spoken earlier about that, and for ICT, we know that it is ICT that lines and defines and facilitates most technologies across the world. We could not be acting otherwise. These funds allocated are aimed at enabling our tertiary institutions become world-class institutions, thereby improving on their world ranking, a situation that is of deep concern to Mr. President, who is determined to reverse the trend. To achieve this, we intend to continue working closely with the regulatory agencies as the National Universities Commission, NUC, NBTE, and of course NCCE, to ensure that quality and standards are improved and sustained. We are also collaborating effectively with the Federal Inland Revenue Service that I know are represented here to ensure that there is improvement in the education tax collections that are made available to the fund's beneficiary institutions. We express gratitude to all heads of beneficiary institutions, the various unions in the institutions, particularly the goose that laid the golden egg, ASU. We remain indebted to ASU because it was the original vision of ASU that negotiated with the military government of former military President Babangida that produced ETF that is TETFund today. And indeed the entire academic community for the support they have rendered over the years. Mention must also be made of the immense support the media has rendered to the fund over the past 10 years through the prompt and wide patronage they have provided for TETFund events and activities. I cannot complete this address without also expressing our profound gratitude to all education taxpayers. Without them, we couldn't be doing anything at TETFund, who have over the years remained committed to contributing their quota towards the development of tertiary education in Nigeria through their prompt exercise of civic responsibilities. As we mark 10 years of impactful transformation of our public tertiary educational institutions, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reassure you of our resolute commitment to continuously contribute positively to making public tertiary educational institutions in Nigeria truly globally competitive and to the overall economic and technological development of our country. Thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Yeah, we have to give kudos to the TETFund for assisting the university to train our manpower. As I talk to you, some of our junior colleagues, they are outside the country pursuing their masters and PhD. So kudos to TETFund.
I want to use this opportunity to express my profound appreciation to the leadership of TETFund. I want to appreciate the Executive Secretary, Professor Suleiman Bogoro, and all his management team for the excellent work that they are doing in the Nigerian university system.
TETFund has done exceptionally well in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of capacity building of our staff members, as well as other areas. And I tell you, which of course I have no apology, but for TETFund, I am sure our universities would have been suffering and probably gone back to the old age. But so TETFund has done a lot.
In Nigeria today, if you go to any tertiary institution and you see massive infrastructural development, TETFund is largely responsible for this. Without TETFund, I don't know what will be the state of the infrastructure of tertiary institutions in Nigeria today. So we are grateful that we have an institution like TETFund in our country that is helping the university, colleges of education and polytechnics to be able to raise their heads above the water.
We've really benefited in both academics, research, academic staff training, institutional-based research, journal, manuscript development, and then coming to the physical infrastructure.
I've traveled a lot. The first thing I see, TETFund. TETFund. Let me tell you, some institutions would have closed down, but for TETFund.
And that is the paradigm shift. Join us again for another edition of the program. Until then, thank you for stopping by. Good night.